Peduli Lindungi application or show your first vaccination card or the result of swab antigen at the entrance. Please follow our health protocol throughout the event by wearing your mask at all times, washing your hands regularly, and physically distancing from the crowd. If you require assistance, please visit the information center at the festival box office. You can join the conversation on social media with hashtag UWRF21. Would you like to share your feedback? Please let us know through the audience survey. Ubud Writers and Readers Festival would not be possible without the support of our generous partners and sponsors. Founder Yayasan Mudraswari Saraswati, presented by Badan Pengembangan dan Pembinaan Bahasa, Kementerian Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi. Supported by Wonderful Indonesia, Kementerian Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif, Platinum Partner, Planet Wheeler, Gold Partners, Australian Embassy Jakarta, Embassy of the United States, Casa Luna, Silver Partners, Budaya Saya, Indus Restaurant, Honeymoon Guest House, Sachi. Bronze Partners, Kompasiana, Mud Literary Club, Media Partners, Now Bali, Now Jakarta, Harian Kompas, Harper's Bazaar Indonesia, Cosmopolitan Indonesia, Hard Rock FM Jakarta. Emerald Partners, Writing WA, Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries, Copernic, British Council, the Japan Foundation Jakarta, Pelataran Ubud.
It's a little bit dark. It's dark. Where is it?
Plaga Wine, Park, Asian Way, Kanak Medica, VetNew. Media supporters, Detik.com, IDN Times Bali, Hipwi, Britabalik.id, USS Feed, Balai Bengong. Hamper supporters, Softies, Rosalie Cheese, Seniman Coffee, Ubud Coffee Roastery, Taksuspa, Coffeenetics. We hope you're enjoying Ubud Writers and Readers Festival.
Hello?
Please check your belongings as we prepare for the next session and dispose of your rubbish at one of our sorting stations. For the most up-to-date program information, please check our website. To enter our venues, please
join us in a festival that promises to be extraordinary, because Bali is extraordinary.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival 2021. This year the festival returns with the theme Mulat Sarira, Self-Reflection, which is drawn from a Balinese Hindu philosophy. From 8 to 17 of October, we will explore the meaning of self-reflection, cultural introspection, and human rights, examining who we are, what unites and divides us, and what drives our actions. And my name is Travis, and my name is Travis, and this year I had the pleasure of being Anneka's editor for the new book, Living Without Walls. And We had a great time writing it.
It was great fun.
It was
I think
difficult.
it was about 9 months that we
It was
were
about 9
together.
months,
And
yeah.
we actually started before COVID.
Yeah.
And then we went through the whole thing. And we would usually meet around this time of the day. So for us, this is like our normal kind of conversation that we would have.
That's right. So we enjoyed the early days of the lockdown by the river, putting this book together,
Oh, yes.
which we're happy to present now. The book is a lot of things, but there's a focus on Anneke's design philosophy, which is she calls Haute Couture Architecture, and that's she'll tell you more as we go on. But essentially, this is the architecture of fabric structures, tented structures, which she's developed at her home in Bali for 14 years.
Let's say 15.
15 years, and these tents have now been shipped to, I believe, around 25 countries around the world.
Actually, already 30.
30 countries around the world.
Yeah.
So the book shows her unique design process and inspiration from nature, and so I don't want to get too deep into it. I'll just let you speak for yourself.
So I came up with the idea of doing tents when I was going to build my house, and I thought maybe a tent is a nice idea to live in while the project is going on, so I can check on the people a little bit and see how they're doing. And so when the tent was up, it just turned out that a lot of people liked it. And before I knew, I had a first client. And to tell you the truth, when I started, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just had my first tent, and then I just made more. And that just turned out to go really well. And we also have two of our architects and project managers here who are very much responsible for all the fantastic details that they made. So when it became a business, it was something that I really loved, and it was actually easy for me to make it into a business. But as a creative, I'm not really good at financial, so I found a business partner who really helped me to set up the business. And now that the business is running, I finally had time to write a book about my philosophy, my lifestyle in a tent. It's really something very unique because you're very close to nature, and it gives you incredible inspiration. Sorry, I'm wearing these dark glasses, but these are my reading glasses. Okay. Right. So.
And how did the book project begin?
The book project actually began, it was actually your idea many years ago. You said, actually, it would be so nice if you would do a book on these tents. And I thought about it for a couple of years, and then finally, when I had time during COVID, I decided to go and do it. And I asked Travis if he wanted to edit the book, help me with the book. You know, I was in despair because, you know, it was a lot of work because, as you can see, ta-da. So sometimes I got a bit confused what to put where, so he would always be there to help me and put things straight for me. So.
Anneke has coined the phrase haute couture architecture to describe her creations. The following reading is a chapter from the book, a chapter of the same name.
Okay, so once upon a time, the majority of humanity lived in temporary structures. As most humans became settled in permanent habitations, tents continued to be used on the battlefield. Generals and kings held sway in jeweled canvas palaces. Now kings, sultans, rajas, and khans enthroned themselves in nature. From these tented thrones, they conquered territories and negotiated treaties, dividing the spoils of the subdued earth. We cannot compare our lives with that of royalties who lived extravagantly in the past. The new upper and middle classes that followed them wanted the same, and it has led to the catastrophes and calamities we are facing today. Haute Couture Architecture bridges the gap between architecture and nature. It gently drapes and dresses the void. It embodies humanity within the divine environment, born to show the emergencies that we face and to awaken humanity to a new paradigm. I realized that haute couture architecture might sound at first like an oxymoron. I adopted the idea to evoke the pre-modern sense of high luxury that values quality materials and craftsmanship. Haute couture is commonly used to imply high-end compositions made from superior quality fabrics, sewn with close attention to detail, and finished by the hands of experienced couturiers. The sewing process for my tents is similar, and they are tailored specifically for individuals. The accessories accompanying an haute couture garment are handmade and applied, similar to the way the belts and bamboo pole covers that grace our tents are hand-fitted. When I develop new designs, I work as a couturier, but on a large scale. I climb staircases next to the tents with measuring tape around my neck, needle, thread, and scissors on hand to check the fitting. The feeling comes off in the stitching, the textures, the proportions. Form should always follow function, just as in a luxury car, a Swiss watch, or a designer's dress. Our artisanal tailored spaces are intended to be as evocative of an elegant, alluring, imagined past as they are accessible to the needs of a living being.
Thank you. The book is titled The Art of Living Without Walls. Do I need to live in a tent to live without walls? Or can I live without walls in my own home?
Well, it actually helps a lot because you're very close to nature, and nature inspires you tremendously. So as a creative, being close to nature and living in a tent especially, because I have always like a panoramic view from wherever I go, I can harvest all my ideas just like that. It just comes, and I don't need to think, I don't need to write it down, don't need to draw it, it just comes. So when I design my tents, I usually work with the people who are making the drawings for me, and I just explain to them what I'm looking for. And sometimes, like, I talk to them in the morning and I already have nice results in the afternoon. So it's really a very wonderful process.
And speaking of this, living without walls or living in your tents is also, in a way, a luxury. And I believe you have a quote on how this concept of living without walls is part of your process of, shall we say, redefining luxury or changing the concept of luxury.
Yeah, so basically, not having to. I'm talking now about luxury and how this changing paradigm that we are in is changing us and the world around us. Not having to wear the latest fashion is a luxury. Being offline is a luxury. Going barefoot is a luxury. Not buying products wrapped in plastic is a luxury. Discovering we have more self-power than we thought we had is a luxury. Knowing how to live in harmony with nature is a luxury. Not having to be successful is a real luxury. Doing what we love to do is a luxury. And not needing luxury is a luxury. So the whole world is, as the world is changing, there is like a new luxury that is very different than the luxuries that we were thinking of before. And I hope this gives you inspiration. So.
And do you believe as we emerge out of this global lockdown that this concept of luxury is going to be changing further, and how so?
It's going to be tough because people have habits and they will not change very easily. So there need to be like a lot of motivators to make a change. And, they used to use advertising in order to sell a product, for example. And that is the old way. So to entice people to buy the product, there's a lot of money that goes into advertising. So now the environmental problem is a different problem. So I think we're going to have to find different ways of doing this. And one way that me and my teams are doing this is by organizing a design competition, Design for the Environment, whereby we're asking people to design packaging without plastic, products that are durable, and products that are not made of plastic specifically. And the other way that we are contributing to the environment, rather than talking about it in the book, is I started a coconut academy, and we're making right now 10 different products out of the coconut. The coconut, usually there is like a lot of waste when the local people are making the coconut. But all the things that they are throwing to the chicken, we are making bread out of it, we're making cookies, and we're making all kinds of different products. So it's really an amazing product. So we also make soap, and when you're making soap, you can also use the husk that we're burning to make the oil. We will also use that to make lye, to make the soap. So it's really a total life cycle. So it's really from cradle to cradle. So anyway, so we're doing all these activities in order to do something, and not to advertise, but to really actually show the change, take action, do things. And we as individuals have an incredible power, you know. We don't know, we're just sitting and we're just like thinking about the environment, about the problems. And we're already sick of it a little bit, right? And action needs to be taken. So this is the way that we do it. And I'd like to read a little bit more about the book. That's a little bit hard to read because the light is... The ancient volcanic peaks and the Serpentine River serve as a backdrop to my terraced landscape here on the south side of heaven. My tents are draped in hand-sewn, custom-fitted luxury fabrics and lay there peacefully to be lit by the moon. The sanctuary is embedded in Bali's lower hills, which lead to the volcanically active Mount Agung and a range of slumbering volcanoes. Emerging from these heights are the open veins of ancient rivers, their abundant water, filled bellies buried in the earth's depths millions of years ago. The water of the Ayung River, this river of life, runs wild with memories and moonlight as it slithers throughout the landscape. Living without walls is a way to bring our own lives in tune with the timeless rhythms of nature. It pays tribute to Mother Nature and serves as a wake-up call for her fragility, a fragility created by human ignorance and personal gain. In doing so, we also bring respect for the sacred feminine back to our world. For most recorded history, women have been treated with suspicion as property, expendable, and without the same rights as men.
And how has Bali, living in Bali, and the Balinese people informed your design and your ideas?
Okay, so when I started making the tent, the first thing I was concerned about was the ventilation. And when I saw the Balinese wantilan, I knew that's how I'm going to do it. So it has like one roof and another roof, and here goes the ventilation. Then on the bottom, because all the walls are gone, you have cross ventilation. So, but at night the walls can be closed anyway. So, and I also fell very much for the religion related to nature. It's such a beautiful and close to nature experience. For example, if a priest touches his hands on a rock, it's not a rock, it's life, and it's so beautiful. And I feel the same things. I have learned a lot since I came to Bali, and these things I find very intriguing and very inspirational for my work. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, previously you lived in both America and in Europe. New York and
Yeah.
Brussels, for instance. Could you have come up with the same project or the same concepts at all, living in New York or in Brussels?
I don't think so. I think nature has really inspired me, and it really gave me that inspiration. And I think sitting in a concrete block apartment in New York City is not going to really help you to be as creative as I became, because I think everything is possible. I have no limitation. I live without fear. Everything is possible. You just start doing it, and there's also no failure, because you do what you do, and sometimes something else comes out of what you started to do, and sometimes it's even better than what your original plan was. So it was good. Okay, women have claimed the role of positive change makers in society and in the business world. Because of this, our world is broadening in both its seen and unseen aspects. That broadening will open up the minds of the men and women who have been exposed to the new awareness of our increased capabilities. As I grew and changed through my self-taught approach into the paradigm shift, I came to call my new outlook on life living without walls. Living without walls is a philosophy in action, an antidote to the speculative philosophers that have dominated us for years. Nature doesn't need us. We need nature to breathe, feed, and fancy.
And how can living without walls change you? How has it changed you, and how can it change others?
Well, I think I kind of already answered that question, because it's nature that inspires me. So it's living without the walls that does basically everything. And you don't necessarily need to live in a tent. You can figure out something else to live close to nature. But I find this like an amazing experience that I don't think I could ever live in a cement block ever again. So for me, going on a holiday and staying in a hotel is a bit tough. So I'm going to read my moment of awakening to you. To bridge the past with the future, we need a new vision to reconnect and ground ourselves. Here is how I found my paradigm, how I consciously flipped that switch to leave the materialistic world behind 20 years ago when I moved to Bali. That change happened when I consciously held the flower of a blossoming tree in my hand for a single moment. For that first time, and all at once, I smelled its fragrance and its compassion. I touched the flower and looked at the shapes, the grading of the color, the waving movement of the stems, the different textures. I smelled and felt its sap seeping from the stem. With patience, I turned it around and experienced its stunning beauty consciously for the very first time. Its grandeur became grander with every moment. Then I looked at the tree and thought about its ancestry and creation. That moment was a life changer for me. After this awakening, I knew my simplicity is so challenging. It is so close that we just can't see it. When things are too close to us, after a while they wear out. It is that same closeness we have with an old but comfortable relationship. We need to wake up to it again and become aware of its beauty. This beauty was always unconsciously present, but this very special moment gave me insight to the dormant capability we have as a human.
In a way, your tented architecture is a canvas for framing nature, and as for viewing nature as artwork. And what do you have to say of what nature has to teach you when you're to live close to nature in this way, to learn from nature? What is it saying?
Well, I think it's saying that we need to trust our gut. We need to trust what we feel. We need to trust what we yeah, what our body tells us. And this is something that most people, and me myself, also sometimes forget. And if I haven't done my gut feeling and something goes wrong, I always think like, oh my God, you know, I really should have listened to my own body. And the thing is, you know, grass grows, we don't need to tell it to grow. Flowers, they blossom, and we don't need to tell them to blossom. So it's all like our nature. I think we need to trust ourselves on what our body tells us, which is a natural way of everything. So,
Another topic that came up quite a lot throughout the book was this idea of the paradigm shift. Can you explain what is the paradigm shift, and what is it to us?
Well, the paradigm, okay, so the paradigm shift is a shift that you go through as a human. It's like different for everybody. I went through it a very long time ago. So that also made me very different. And my opinions and my experiences, therefore, were always different. And so right now, after we have been sitting around in the Corona time, you know, we have had time to reflect and time to think about what we want with our lives, really. So I think there is a metamorphosis process that's happening within us. I'm going to read you a piece of that. It was curated simplicity and the longing for less that guided me through a new dimension of life and design. My life became filled with subtle conscious moments, noticing that water feels like silk, that air smells like a bouquet, that food tastes like honey. It is a life of respect and empathy for self, others, and for Mother Earth, who gave birth to us all. The caterpillar radically transforms its body, eventually emerging as a butterfly. Today, humanity is going through a similar metamorphosis change. Just like a larvae transforms into a fly, a tadpole into a frog, and a caterpillar into a butterfly. One day, the caterpillar stops eating, hangs upside down from a twig or leaf, and spins itself a silky cocoon or molds into a shiny crystal, crystallis. A revolution and evolution takes place. There is chaos inside the cocoon, and from that chaos comes clarity in a new shape. Within its protective casting, the caterpillar radically transforms its body, eventually emerging as a butterfly. It is similar to what we humans are going through while moving into a new paradigm, a new era. We aren't shape-shifting, but we are changing the way so we think about how we live, and we're accepting the limitations we need to face so as not to destroy our very nature. This transformation process is the process that will set you free and allow you to fly. The new paradigm warrior has no ego because they have no longing for power. The new paradigm advocate makes no judgments because they accept everybody as different. The new paradigm champion has no regrets because there are no expectations. The new paradigm executive has no spoilage because they want to conserve. The new paradigm conqueror has no mess-ups because thoughts are simple. The new paradigm winner has no loss because they are not attached. The new paradigm musician is sympathetic to no noise. The new paradigm philosophers are no strangers to themselves. They recognize the inner person and always find the answers from within.
Thank you. And how can we come out of this cocoon of our global lockdown in a positive experience, more fearless, more mindful, free?
Yeah, this is really the key to everything. So let's say that we all start like the caterpillar. So the butterfly lies an egg, and then we become a caterpillar, and then we've got, let's say, maybe we've got like 1,000 legs. So we just go and we go, and we have to go across the walls, we go down, there's a rock, and we have to go. It's really difficult to get anywhere, right? So, I compare that with the difficulties that we have in life, or that we always had in life. If we cocoon like we did now in the time of COVID, so we hang around for almost 2 years, so we've really had time to think about. So let's say that after the caterpillar hangs itself to create that chaos inside that cocoon, it becomes a butterfly at the end of its life and begins a new life. And it's beautiful, because the caterpillar is maybe like a little bit of an ugly thing, right? So the butterfly is so beautiful. It can have so many beautiful colors, and it can fly. So when you can fly, you can go with the flow. You go everywhere much faster. You don't have all these difficulties and problems anymore, because you have understood that you can fly. And this is what probably all of us would like to do, is fly. But, I think you can compare life a little bit like that, with the difficult situation we've been in and the lighter situation that we could be going in. And there's a lot in the book about that, and how to do that, and how to work on yourself to get to the next level. Yeah. And one of them is to create intentions. Yeah. I want to give you a way of creating your own utopia with power of intention. We usually focus our intention, what others want us to be, on what a commercial society wants us to focus on. Move that attention to the world of nature. Mother Nature automatically informs our senses of what direction we need to choose. What you think shows what you want. If you don't know what you want, start to ask yourself questions carefully. The answer is already intrinsically embedded in the questions that you asked yourself. You just need to keep formulating them until the question reveals itself. Open yourself up and let your mind sink away into the natural world's clear yet invisible guidance. Give in, and you will see your path reflected in your thought and dreams. Then use the tools provided in this chapter to turn your mindset toward realizing those dreams. Implementing daily intentions led me to understand that if I can change, so can the world around me, because I know that the invisible energy which surrounds me is within me and connects me with everything. From the old world to the celebrating new, from dominance to integrity, from body to brain power to empathy, to setting goals to making intentions, from working hard to going with the flow, from profit to progress, from making money to having a purpose, from how can I get this to how can I help you, from materialism to living the dream, from surrogate consumer to an extract of nature, from ego to the essence, from never having time to creating time for what really counts, from success to satisfaction, from cheating to creating a good reputation. A new stage of my enlightenment came when I envisioned my first tent draped over a beautiful landscape in the small village of Samana in Bali. Samana is near Ubud. I was mentally ready to dive into a life of simplicity, to live satisfying my basic needs, and to let go of everything. This longing for simplicity over time led to a series of painless moments of growth. I started with the realization that I didn't want to be influenced by the outside world. I wasn't going to be worried about what people would think about me living in a tent. I wanted to challenge others to follow my example of simplicity and happiness. I just want to tell you a little side story, because my mother, she came and lived here with me for a while. And when I told her many years ago that I lived in a tent, I don't think that she wanted to tell any of her friends that her daughter was living in a tent in Bali. So that was interesting. Anyhow, but when she came, she changed her mind about that. So she sent pictures to all of her friends. So quite interesting. You have any more questions for me? Okay, so actually, how I see that change happening is really when you're out in nature. Let's say you get up in the morning very early, you go out and you see the beautiful dewdrops on a leaf, and the dewdrops, the sun reflects in the dewdrop, and it becomes so beautiful. It becomes like a jewel. It's just so gorgeous, so beautiful. You sit there and you're in awe. You're holding your breath. You're looking at the sun and you're looking at the dewdrop again. And this reminds me when I lived on 57th Street in New York City. I wasn't living too far away from Tiffany's, so I would pass by these windows sometimes. Not that I'm interested in anything like that or in any jewelry, but the windows were always so beautifully dressed. And in a way, I can see that same beauty in that beautiful dewdrop. And even that dewdrop, it's free and it's so beautiful. But you know that when you touch it, it'll disappear. So you don't touch it. So you stay with it and you admire it and you love it. And you don't need to own it. It's there, whenever you want to see it.
Would you say that this book, in a way, it's about your process of opening up to this invisible world of nature and being inspired by it for you, in your case, for your designs. But I think it's also a manual for others to open up to nature, for both designers and anyone else who cares to be inspired.
Everyone can, yeah. So everyone has the capability to open up and to go through that paradigm shift in a very beautiful way. And you'll definitely come out as a better person, that I can guarantee. Because I've lived here now for 23 years, and it was actually Bali that changed me, and has been an incredible experience. I'm going to read a little bit more. Change is a long process. Educational systems are based on the old paradigm that still rules society. Belief in the old paradigm still allows women to be raped, mistreated, threatened, and humiliated daily around the world. Wars are still planned, trees are cut, and mining still degrades landscapes we otherwise could enjoy. It's a long list. A few who dominate want to keep their privileges, not only over society, but also over our world's destiny. They are making use of their positions to keep their privilege while crippling the planet. In an interview I heard, one businessman said, "I am here to make money. I do not look at the social consequences of what I do." Every day we eat, buy clothes, we go about doing the things that we need to do and be safe, healthy, and peaceful. But our ego wants more. The ego is the starter kit of inner pollution, and it always wants more. Our human desire is expanding in the world that cannot fulfill the wants of our material desires any longer. We are reaching 10 billion people on our planet, and there is no place to go. The other planets don't have tea or ice cubes for your cocktail. So that's not an option unless Virgin Air has already daily flights from Mars.
Is the paradigm change something that we all have to make as individuals? Is it something that we have to do on our own?
I think so. We have to do that on our own. And the thing is, we need to realize that the world is one interwoven web. So you're all connected, all of you guys, all you people are connected to me. And you are amazing. Thank you so much for coming. Anyway, so it's the World Wide Web, so we're all connected. We're connected to nature, we're connected to everyone. So often maybe like you think of something, and then that person that you thought about just calls you or sends you a message or something like that. It's always amazing how that works. You know, when you think of something, something happens because that energy is expanding from your brain. Okay. So then, as I open myself to the invisible, this ever-present simplicity, it became new to me. The old me thought that the old luxury was the ultimate. I did not know any better. The old me felt that I had to do big things, but now I do them in small portions, because the details of simplicity have become more visible and valuable to me over time. The new me has discovered there is more to life, and that there is more value in every little step I take. Today we are thankfully not alone in this quest. There is a whole world of artists, designers, and architects who bring the paradigm shift to the world through their unique styles. With their sensitivity to beauty and change, these creatives have different, more progressive worldviews than many. They have quickly grasped the need for change and are transforming the world by using less harmful materials and considering the Earth's fragility. We can now see glimpses of a new world peeking out through the smog, like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. Design and architecture will never be the same again, but history will.
And since you design often for hoteliers, hotel owners, how do you believe hoteliers can help to encourage this paradigm shift or engage with travelers who are already living in this?
Yeah, I think it's more engaging with the travelers, because you have travelers and you have tourists. And you have tourists that come in bus and truckloads, and you have people who are traveling on their own. You have mostly people, I mean, because I come from Holland, so we always wanted to go to a country where the sun was shining. So we go somewhere and then we sit by the pool and we just get a tan and we have nice cocktails and we eat and we do all that. But I think the world has changed a lot, and I think traveling with a purpose is so much more, is going to be so much more popular, because hotels are now also working closer with communities. And when people like us, when we go to another country, it's you know, it'll be a good idea to know more about the country, more about the culture. And also when you are in the country is to go and meet with those people and see how their lives really are. Because I'm so sorry to say that in the West, you know, we always think that the way that we live is the way to live, but there is another 2/3 of other world that is living a very different life. And I think that's very important that we get more awareness. And through traveling, people often get inspiration, because when I used to travel, I always was inspired by the hotels that I stayed in. I mean, with the interior decorations and things, you know, whatever. So if we can be inspired by what hotels are doing when we are traveling, I think they can be of great inspiration to us, yeah.
And how does this affect the design of the resort?
Well, I think that a tent is not a bad idea, because I make tents, so I think it's you know, so you want people to have the same experience like I have, is living so close to nature, and I love it when people have stayed in one of the hotels that we have built, and they're coming back with very enthusiastic stories about how they have a very similar experience than I had. So I can only recommend it. Yes.
So, in a way, you would say if a 200-room, 4-star hotel filled with guests from around the world, filling up planes to travel in a resort that looks essentially like every other resort, this may be the old paradigm. And the new paradigm may actually look more like the past.
That's right. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, that's definitely the case. So stepping back to the old days is often a better idea, but I'm not sure if people are ready to do that. I was talking to the head of my village the other day, And I'm trying to get rid of the plastic in my village, and I've tried this for a very long time. And every time they promise to do something, and then in the end, you know, everybody gets lazy and they don't really want to do anything. So it's really hard, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It's time we increased the conversation around our hospitality hosts who use chemicals in their perfect gardens, in groceries from their wholesalers, and in cleaning their interiors. How deeply do we think about the making of the toiletries so perfumed? Whether the pillows are infused with flame retardant toxins, or if that Instagram perfect pool is overloaded with chlorine. The hospitality industry could be exemplary by showing a new direction to travelers that turns away from the normalized abuse of nature's beauty. Yeah.
And do you have some advice for those of us who want to start curating simplicity and longing for less?
Well, if my mom would still be alive, you know, she would be of a great help, because when I grew up, and my mom, she grew up during the Second World War, and because the Second World War there was not enough of anything, so she would always tell me the mantra was turn off the light, close the door, etc., etc. So she taught me a lot of things. Don't throw away things. Don't do this. Don't do that. So that was the daily mantra. And that has really helped me a lot. So I think, Mom, just tell everybody.
And in the book, we discussed a lot of other influences that you've gathered throughout your life and inspirations, things like the Art Nouveau movement, wabi-sabi, earthworks art, early modernism,
Yeah.
biophilia. And how do you bring those all together into your work and express them through a tent? Why is a tent a vehicle to express those inspirations that you've had?
Well, that was more a coincidence, but the fact that I am very inspired by Art Nouveau, wabi-sabi, and biophilia is because they're all inspired by nature. And I've done actually an exhibition on Art Nouveau, maybe a couple of 20 years, 30 or 40 years ago, and it's always been with me. And I've always found that a beautiful movement. It was like influenced by Japanese art, and I also find that Japanese influence back in my work. Because I work like with tatami sizes and things like that, and I like to keep simplicity everywhere I go, and that's really the wabi-sabi is very much like simplicity. Then you go to biophilia. In biophilia, you can be inspired by an animal, like for example the kingfisher. The Japanese bullet train was inspired by its what do you call it? The arrow stream, you know, the shape of the beak and the head. So there's like a very interesting subject, biophilia. There's also a lot of information about it in the book. And I will read about it a little bit here. While the inspirations for haute couture spread out like ripples, spread through space and time, they were discovered personally at various turning points throughout my own life. I am continually inspired by what I see around me, what I experience, and the exciting works of other designers worldwide. Some influences stand out above all others, though. The regal twisting patterns and awareness of nature in the Art Nouveau movement, the honest, refined simplicity of wabi-sabi design philosophy, the clean lines and framing of nature seen in early modernism and Frank Lloyd Wright, and the idea of ephemeral, draping the landscape. That was the word that you wrote there. Okay. Draping the landscape in the earthworks. Art of Christo and Jean-Claude. Really fantastic work they do. When I walk from my bedroom tent into the dining tent, I feel connected to Mother Nature with every step I take. When it rains, I connect to her through the sound of the rain, dripping from the edge of the canopy onto the leaves below. The soft breeze, the wafts through my living spaces all day long make me feel free. Amidst the abundance of nature, we no longer need to fear nature to our survival. Instead of caging ourselves away, we can let their abundance come through. This is a living without walls. I strive to articulate the opposite of what aesthetic of excess often disguised as luxury. Excess draws from the suppressed fear of never having enough. Because of our historical past, this fear is our DNA. But that built-in fear of oppression and of not having enough is waging war against the environment and the very planet we live on. We never have enough possessions, but we can't ever get enough love, power, and attention either. These substitutes for emptiness are the top priority drivers destroying the world of plenty. Even though nature is fighting back, she still shows her abundance by displaying the extravagance to those who open their eyes to it. When stepping on Mother Nature's soil to build, we unintentionally step onto her soul, the soul to which we are all connected. To live close to nature within tents, with no secrets, no valuable possessions, and no fear of losing anything, gives me a sense of revolutionary euphoria. I feel far away from the mundane materialistic world that has stressed us out and messed us up. This way of life does not conceal, but reveals. No hidden secrets, no entrapments, no doors that can be slammed. It is a vision of being a free human with gratitude, simplicity, and the luxury of discovering all that good things in life are free. This feeling of freedom gives me a way to enter the space and wisdom of the good spirits who dwelt on earth long before we arrived. Ultimately, Haute Couture Architecture gives a new direction to the world weary. Those who desire to explore, to pioneer, and to seek inspiration, it is a portal to alternative thinking. Do more than belong. Participate. Do more than care. Help. Do more than believe. Practice. Do more than be fair. Be kind. Do more than forgive. Forget. Do more than dream. Work on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, the book is Living Without Walls, Haute Couture Architecture. Sorry, The Art of Living Without Walls, Haute Couture Architecture. And it's full of ideas for designers and hoteliers. And also, I think anyone who would just like to live a life of deeper inspiration and connection to nature. There's also ideas for daily rituals and intentions that you can do to kind of bring about a paradigm shift in yourself and change your way of thinking to be more connected to this natural world around you and use that in your work and in your life. And Anneke has some new projects coming up. Also, a Journal of Daily Intentions, which is a follow-up and an extension deeper into some of the ideas brought up in the book. The journal is can be used by anyone, and that's to really bring out your own intentions and use those to change your life. And also the Coconut Academy, which will be ongoing events in the sanctuary.
Yeah, we're still experimenting with it. So right now I'm on the level of inviting friends, and we are learning from each other. I have recently also set up a Coconut Academy in Bandanera. And I found that it's something that is very well appreciated by a lot of people because it brings us closer to the community. And the community appreciates it that we pay respect to their tradition. Yeah.
And someday this will also be a book, not exactly a cookbook, but I think a book of...
Yeah, definitely. I'm working on it. I already know what the cover looks like. So.
And you also have a Design for the Environment competition coming up.
That's a competition. It's a design competition that I tried to organize 30 years ago when I was living in New York City. And at that time it was not very popular to talk about the environment. I was very much and heavily involved in environmental issues as I was working on projects with the United Nations to find wood substitutes. And so, you know, that's it.
And it continues, and you'll be bringing together designers in Indonesia and Holland.
And Holland, that's right, yeah, exactly. So we're inviting like designers, architects, inventors, industries, of course. I mean, for example, Indomie would be one of the target groups because they package everything in a very small package and people throw it away. And on my daily morning walk, I pick up a lot of plastic from people who throw that kind of things away. So they're like number one on my list of people to work with. But there's also like a lot of things already happening in the packaging world. But first we need to attack the problems that are there. You know, the big plastic soup they don't have no solution for it yet. So, but it's coming. There's a lot of research being done, and there will be solutions coming. But we have to really collaborate. We just have to consume less. And the reason why I actually started the Coconut Academy is so I don't need to go to the supermarket to buy my soap, my candles, my oil, all these things that are all wrapped in plastic. So I already have like a lot of advantage of not having to go shopping, and it's great fun. On Saturdays we just spend time, you know, all of us together. We sit around the table in the kitchen, and you know, we're just all doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we chat around and we laugh, and it's really, it would be a very nice family gathering thing. So if people would do that, you know, you can do that when you're living in an apartment in New York City too. You can go and buy the coconuts and do all that. So there's no excuse, actually.
Well, I think what I learned working on this book with you was that if we do want to help the environment and do something to help this situation in the world, which we all should, it doesn't have to just start with being hard on ourselves and putting so many restrictions on our life that are not enjoyable and can often be
that's
too
indeed
difficult.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I wrote this book, because I want to make it comfortable for everybody to make that change in life. Because if you only look at the newspapers and the news, I haven't read a newspaper in quite a long time, and I must say it really gives me time for more positive thinking and space to actually do something about environmental issues and inspire people, I hope.
And it's something that's often missed in the conversation is drawing inspiration from nature.
That's right.
And using that to make positive change.
Yeah, that's right.
So we'll be here at the table. We have some goodies available for those who'd like to sign up for a pre-order of the book. They're still on the way from the publisher. They should be here within a week.
They should be here on Sunday.
Should be here
because
on
we
Sunday.
originally planned to do the book signing here on Sunday. So I hope we can still do that. Customs, yes, of course. But it's okay. So you can already sign up, and I have like one of our homemade soaps that we package in coconut leaves. So inside is a piece of soap. So we come up with our own packaging concept, and this is also like recycled paper. So it's all good. So thank you so much for your time. Are there any questions, or do we have time for that? Huh? Okay. Any questions, anyone? Or suggestions? Okay, well, thank you very much then. And Thank you for coming.
Thank you for supporting the Yayasan Mudraswari Saraswati Patrons Program and to the festival's partners who made the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival possible. Terima kasih atas dukungan melalui patron program Yayasan Mudraswari Saraswati dan kepada para partner festival yang membuat Ubud Writers and Readers Festival dapat terlaksana. Follow at Ubud Writers Festival on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or visit ubudwritersfestival.com for more information about the program.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the book that you can sign up. Here is the book. It's like a dummy, so you can have a quick